Amaka was so distraught with the death of her husband that she left the town to stay in a cave in the forest. Nobody knew how powerful Amaka was until the event with the king. She and her husband, Achibi, had always been very easygoing people and down to earth. Amaka vowed that the king would not be found again. Everybody in the kingdom wondered where King Afam could be, while some were sad, others jubilated. Many days later, the king's chief guard, Okoli, heard commotion from the palace garden and ran out to see other guards chasing a goat who they claimed had been disturbing the village, going to people's farms to eat plants. Okoli looked at the goats and he noticed something strange. It was no other person but King Afam who had turned to a goat. King Afam was in the palace garden trying to communicate, but nobody recognized him, and all they saw was a very stubborn goat. They threw stones and sticks at the goat. The goat was bleating as if trying to communicate, but nobody understood what the goat was saying. They kept throwing things at the goat. Okoli asked them to stop throwing things at once, and he carried the goat and took it somewhere safe. The goat was in tears. People wondered why Okoli had special interest in the goat, but nobody could question him. Later in the night, Okoli took the goat to meet the chief priest, and he communicated with the goat as they walked. He went ahead to also inform the queen of his discovery. The queen was very happy. The chief priest confirmed it to be true, that the King Afam was indeed the goat. The chief priest wasn't surprised Okoli could see the goat, as he knew Okoli had great supernatural powers. The queen begged the chief priest to do all he could to make King Afam return to human form. After some days, the chief priest and Okoli told King Afam that he had to go somewhere. The goat, bleating, nodded in agreement. King Afam, during his lonely time, had reflected over his life and realized how evil he had been. He vowed to be a better person if given another chance. The chief priest told King Afam that there was an hidden cave at a particular side of the forest, and they proceeded to the cave. On the third day, after a very long search and days in the forest, they found the cave and approached it. The chief priest and Okoli saw Amaka and begged her to leave the course, as they were sure the king must have learned from his mistakes after the humiliation he must have endured. The king begged Amaka. The goat went down on its knees as if to beg with tears in his eyes. Amaka, seeing that the king was repentant indeed, reversed the course, and the king changed back to human form the following day when they got to the palace. The king asked for Amaka to return to the palace and begged earnestly for forgiveness once more. He also gave Achibi a very befitting burial and gave Amaka more lands. He adopted the children Amaka and Achibi had. King Afam became a very humble and wise king. Immediately, King Afam woke up from his sleep. He realized he had been dreaming. What sort of a strange dream is this, he asked himself. That very day, at the king's court, Amaka came in to beg the king to release her husband. She pleaded in tears, but the king sent her away and told her there was nothing she or anyone could do to him. He totally forgot about his dream and dead Amaka. In the evening, when the king was alone in the court, the chief guard, Okoli, came to him and told him he would like to discuss something very important with him. King Afam agreed, and Okoli went ahead and told the king everything about the dream he had earlier. The king was so surprised. He said, "But I didn't tell anyone about my dream. How did you know?" Okoli told him not to bother and not to bother questioning him because he knew about the dream. and he advised that King Afam should listen to him because the king's cup was almost full. Okoli told the king that he only knows him as the palace guard, but in the real sense, he is the king's protector in the spirit realm. And that is why most evil that should have befallen King Afam, despite his excesses, have always been averted. Okoli told the king that now is the time to right all his wrongs, or else what he saw in the dream was just a glimpse of the calamity that will befall him and his generation. At this point, King Afam was scared and agreed to change. Okoli advised him to call everybody and return everything he has seized and taken from people unjustly. King Afam agreed and sent the town crier to go out and call everyone, both old and small. On the day the king addressed everyone in the village, he pleaded with them that they should overlook all his shortcomings, and he announced that he was ready to return everything he had forcefully taken from anyone with interest, and also release the prisoners he held in his dungeon. At the very far corner of the village square, Amaka standing looked at King Afam. Their eyes met and she smiled and nodded in agreement. Thank you.